Hey everyone, my name is Nathan Payne. Welcome back to another episode of Blu Ocean Crypto. So Mavia recently did an update, and I would say the biggest thing in that update was a new system to Ruby Battles. It's the underdog favorite feature. There's a lot of mixed opinions on that in the community right now. So I just wanted to get you guys up to speed on how it works, some of my thoughts, and maybe how Ruby Battles, in my opinion, is going to evolve in the near future. So without further ado, let's jump right in.
I want to play.
Okay, so just coming over to the App Store, if we open up the version history, we can see we're at 2.5.5 now. And the top one is the main one I want to focus on. So Fair Ruby Battles. It's the new underdog / favorite feature. You will now battle players at a similar level to yours. Now, it's not necessarily level. I think what they mean is skill. However, it doesn't really work like that. And I'll kind of show you guys some examples here, but maybe ideally they're supposed to be leagues, or you're supposed to be paired maybe more commonly around people. We're not too sure how that actually works. They did add some other things like new stats pop up for Ruby Battles, which actually looks pretty sweet. Show buildings requirement for hero, bunch of bug fixes and stuff. But the biggest question about this is, how is it going to impact, or how is it impacting players who are really good at Ruby Battles versus players who are not? Is it getting more people to actually play? And how does this mechanic really work? Because there wasn't really any more information other than this and us going in to try it. There was no testing done whatsoever. They just released this feature. It was interesting because as far as I knew, we were supposed to test it, but they just decided to roll it out. I'm just speculating here, but maybe there were some people who were just earning too much Ruby because they got too good. I mean, there's really only about 20 maps. And in my opinion, the main issue with Ruby Battles, or why I haven't participated a ton, I loved it in the beginning. I think the whole format is actually really amazing. But when you only have 20 maps, it's just rote memorization, right? Once you understand those maps and the different troop layouts, simply by repetition, you become better and better and better and better. It becomes extremely difficult for anyone to ever beat you, which is exactly why this feature, in my opinion, was probably introduced. But let's take a look at some photos. And just a disclaimer, I took a bunch of photos from the Mavia Discord and our Discord. So for anyone's names who's on these, shout out to you. But let me just open these up and kind of show you guys some examples here. So you can see underneath the name on the left-hand side where it says favorite, minus 2.61, and then on the right-hand side, you can see underdog, minus 0.1. So Pickle clearly has the advantage here, and what I want to bring your attention to is just take a look at the attack time. So we can see KNAT was 1 minute 9 seconds with 100% 3-star, and then Pickle was 1 minute 57 seconds. So that's, 40 plus seconds more. However, he won. Now, he won because of this underdog favorite feature. Trying to figure out what that exact kind of variance is, like how do those numbers equate to how much extra time? I don't think anybody really knows that right now. So here's another example. This is kind of a bit of an extreme one, but you can see Trap Island on the left-hand side, minus 26.55. That's massive compared to minus 0.05. But you can see the difference is more than twice the amount of time to complete the battle. So they both got 3 stars, but the gentleman on the right was able to take more than 2 times as long, and he was still able to win. In my opinion, the issue with this is I don't know what that multiplier is. So when I'm doing the battle, I really have no idea who's going to win until I get to this screen. I think that takes away from a little bit of the intensity and the rush during the battle, because now there's just no idea. You just have to go through it, wait till you see this screen, and then you know. I liked when we were on equal footing because it made the match way more intense. You could kind of see the opponent's percentage versus yours. It felt like a race. Now so just taking a look at a couple more here. So you can see Yar on the left, minus 34.5. We have Wolf on the right with a 0.13. I mean, that's a big difference. You can kind of tell by now, okay, that's a huge, favorite number. And same thing. Obviously, the win was going to go to Wolf, even though Yar did do better. Here's another example that was a bit extreme. Axe with -28. Pretty well known. Axe is probably one of the best Ruby Battle players in the game right now. He's definitely spent the most time at it, rightfully so. But we can see Oneatal got once again, more than twice the amount of time and was still able to win. So just kind of moving along here.
More play.
A couple interesting things about this. If you were struggling in Ruby Battles, there's actually more reason than ever to get back on board, because some of your losses maybe you can make up for us. I do think this is good for newer players getting involved in Ruby Battles, or for people who felt like it was a feature they just couldn't participate in. So the good players, though, the issue we're having, we don't want to play anymore. Because if we have such a penalty, why would we ever risk playing anymore? So immediately my first thought was, well, I have 4 accounts. Why don't I just use all my accounts? When I get one account up too high as a favorite, I can roll over to the next account, do that. And actually some other people have had the same idea where they're making an alt account, getting it to HQ4, and then using that to do Ruby Battles. Now, it's interesting. I tried that. Doesn't work as well as you'd think, because actually a lot of the people who you're queuing against right now have such bad win-loss ratios because of in the past, that even you just having a neutral score, you're still considered the favorite most of the time. So even on an account where I had never done Ruby Battles before, I was still losing consistently because I was still considered the favorite, pairing up against people who were the underdog. So the whole alt account thing doesn't really work like people would think. However, it's still better than using any account that has way too much of a favor. Like if you've got a 60, 70, 80% win ratio, you're probably just going to want to stop using that account, use another one. There's a couple of things, and I'm just speculating here, guys. And we didn't really know this was coming. It just kind of came out really quickly and impacted everything. So there might have been some players like Axe and a few others who are doing really well that maybe were just starting with too much Ruby. And this was kind of Mavia's way to help mitigate that. Once again, I don't know for sure. That's just a guess. You can look on RubyScan and kind of see how much Ruby these people have made. Some of the best Ruby battlers are actually doing very good. But in my opinion, they earned it, right? They spent the energy, time, and effort. Now, right away, I think the biggest solution to all this is just add more maps. Now, I understand that's difficult. You can't get AI to make these maps. Wall placements are hard. Individuals actually have to do it. There's been a lot of community talk going on in a feedback thread that KNAT made. A lot of great ideas going back and forth. There's definitely pros to this, but there's also cons. I think best case scenario, we just have a giant pool of maps. There's lots of more maps being introduced. Then we still got this same feature. Now, another alternative, which I actually recommended as well, would be maybe just using player bases. Because if it was always a player's base, it could be completely random, and it would just be the troop loadout that would differ, and it's just who does better on that base. Either or, this is interesting. I hope you guys have a better understanding of how it works. And if you are one of those people who kind of put Ruby Battles down because you played a bunch in the beginning and you just weren't performing as well, this is actually your time to shine. I would recommend you jump back in because it's a more of a level playing field for you, and you might be able to even earn back some of those losses. The whole goal with this was to try to increase people's participation. I do think it does a good job at that with some new players or people who are struggling in the past. But it's obviously a balance that has to be made. So I'm really curious, what are your guys' thoughts about this? What are some of your recommendations on things that Mavia could do to help make this feature better? We all love it. I think that's why everyone is so, I guess you could say, invested in this feature, because we all really enjoy Ruby Battles. It's an amazing part of the game, but this has kind of changed things. Some people love it, some people hate it. Okay, thanks so much for being subscribed to the channel. Look forward to doing much more Mavia content here for you soon. I know there's a lot of fun stuff coming up in the pipeline with Mavia, so I can't wait to get there. And do me a favor and smash that like button. See you all in the next video. Cheers.